Hey everyone, welcome to Fighting Over the Card Catalog, a snarky look back on young adult novels of the 80s and 90s. I'm Jess.
I'm Steven, and I'm here to make my wife happy.
We are taking a journey to find out how many terrible and hopefully some not so terrible books from my youth, thank you Luna, I can get my husband to read before he reconsiders this whole marriage. Hi.
Hey babe.
Hi Luna. She's going to guest on her today. So this week we read the classic, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, by Queen Judy Blume, published in 1970. Tell us about it.
No one ever told Margaret Simon that 11 going on 12 would be such a hard age. When her family moves to New Jersey, she has to adjust to life in the suburbs, a different school, and a whole new group of friends. Everything is changing, and there are some things about growing up that are hard to talk about, even with your best friends. So Margaret finds someone else to talk to. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I can't wait until 2 o'clock, God. That's when our dance starts. Do you think I'll get Philip Leroy for a partner? It's not so much that I like him as a person, God, but as a boy, he's very handsome. And I'd love to dance with him. Just once or twice. Thank you, God.
Amen. So I chose this book for this week in particular because I remember taking away the religious stuff and questioning and all that, her whole journey, as opposed to the puberty stuff. And as it's Holy Week this week, Easter is this coming Sunday, I thought, hey, it'd be a good time to really delve in, have a very special episode with our religious stuff.
So this was probably the first book where I actually read someone questioning religion.
Yeah.
And probably of being mixed with parents having mixed religions. And was probably the first book I read where it actually talked about girls' periods as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even ones talking about getting bras for the first time. So yeah, there was a lot of girl stuff in this one that I probably did not know at the time.
Right? Yeah. That, I'm sure it mirrors probably my experience reading. Then again, maybe I won't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which she wrote 2 years after this. Yeah. But Wikipedia at least says that she wrote it, as a boy's version, I guess. Or, point of view. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a very, very, very clear memory of learning about this book. We were in the hallway outside my 3rd grade classroom, and some girl from my class was reading it. And, it seemed, she was telling us about it, and of course it seemed very mature and maybe a bit dirty. But I mainly remember feeling a bit shamed that there was this super important book that I hadn't read or heard about. And so bookworm me had, like, well, I've got to read it. But I don't remember actually reading it or what my impressions were. Yeah. But yeah, scale from 1 best book ever to the Dementor's Kiss of 10.
Probably when I first read it, it would have been probably I'd say probably a 2 or a 3, just because of the aspects of the opposite sex and things that I didn't know about. Mm-hmm. This time, I'm very thankful that it was on audiobook. And I was able to listen to it at work, because I probably would have rated it about a 5 if I had to read it.
Just because of the reading experience?
Well, not only that, but there were things that were good to look back on and see, but there was a lot of bad stuff too. There was a lot of judging people, and there were just a lot of. I don't know. There was a lot in it that I really wouldn't have enjoyed reading again. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were just a lot of annoying things that I've found about the book.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah.
Because, Nancy.
Nancy, grandparents. I mean,
for sure.
There was a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably give it probably a 2 back in the day and a 3 now.
Yeah.
Just because it's not as relatable. But
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. So, Margaret Simon comes home from camp the summer she's 11 to find out, surprise, her family's moving from New York City to New Jersey. She thinks it's to get away from the influence of her grandmother, Sylvia. Her grandmother's a whole lot of fun. She's only 60, which, looking at it now, it's like, oh, that's not old at all. But she also always wants to know if Margaret has a boyfriend and if he's Jewish, but those are her bad points about it. But her mother is not a fan of Sylvia.
Right.
And I don't think they really get into that, aside from the different religion thing.
Yeah.
But she wasn't as bad as her parents were.
Right. I'm sure it was all, you're not good enough for my child.
Yeah.
Related.
And, I mean, it sounds like she was there all the time and probably...
Oh, yeah, that was probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty bad that you're going to move to New Jersey to get away from one person.
Get away
who
from
you're
one
related
person. Yeah. But, I mean, they also, they're like, hey, let's get into gardening and mowing the lawn and stuff. So it might be some of that, too.
Yeah.
It's just Margaret's point of view.
Life, yeah. I think they moved there because everything's legal in New Jersey.
Everything's legal in New Jersey. Dun, 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 dun. So on the first day in their new house, Nancy Wheeler comes over to introduce herself and ask Margaret to come over to run through the sprinkler. She comes over to see her because the real estate agent sent out a sheet on Margaret. What the fuck is that? Is that something they used to do?
I would guess, yeah, that probably is true. I mean, they used to be a lot more involved with real estate. Like, they would know everybody looking at the house. They would actually go into their background and look, to see if they were okay to move into the neighborhood. Now it's all just a numbers game. They just want to get
but to send all that information out to everyone else in the neighborhood,
yeah,
that's really weird, and I hate it. I would have just locked myself away. Nancy acts very mature, and she seems really disappointed that Margaret isn't more so coming from the city. Her mom, the 38-year-old Mrs. Wheeler, tells everybody that she's 25. Girl, come on. But she gives Margaret the 3rd degree, and I'm like, why? Was this not all on that sheet?
Yeah.
And she asks Margaret what her mom does, and she says she paints a lot. Why would Mrs. Wheeler assume that she meant walls as opposed to paintings first?
I don't know. Maybe she was thinking
weird.
that she was looking down on her for painting her own walls instead of hiring someone to do it for them.
Oh, maybe so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that. Sounds good. Margaret also meets Nancy's older brother, Evan, and his friend, Moose. They're 14, and they're just kind of 14-year-old boys. Nancy and Margaret are going to be in the same class because they do classes by birth months. I've never heard of that. And I assume back in the day, this was still cool for bringing cupcakes to school for birthdays and stuff.
All right.
I mean, there must be just a 2 or 3 month period where there's a birthday every day.
Yeah. And then nothing the rest of the year.
Nothing the rest of the year.
I remember one of my classes doing it by grades, by intelligence. And there was a top class and a second class and a third class and a fourth class. Yeah.
Ouch. I've heard of reading groups, doing that, which makes sense.
I specifically remember because I moved back into Westwood in the 5th grade. And they told me because I had been at another school and they didn't know where I was, that they couldn't put me in the top class, but they would put me in the second class.
Okay, thanks. Did you get to be moved up? Or did you just have
No, I stayed there for the rest of the year, but it was like half a year.
Okay. So, yeah, they're going to be in the same class, and she wants Margaret to be in her secret club as long as she wears loafers with no socks on the first day of school, because it's not cool to wear socks with loafers. I can't remember what in particular, but I know there was stupid shit like that. That was just, like, not cool.
Right.
Not saying, you couldn't be in a club if you did it, but you knew. You knew.
Yeah, I remember there was a time period where people would roll their pant legs up. They would make them tight and then roll them up.
That is a very 80s thing that I have seen.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you were not cool if you did not do so.
Right. And then you could wear penny loafers, but I don't remember anything about socks being an issue. Actually, I do kind of remember Todd wearing no socks with penny loafers for a while.
That seems very preppy. So, yeah, that seems like a thing. Yeah, I know.
They didn't have no-show socks back then.
Right. Which is a shame. They're great. The only thing I remember is that, just off the top of my head, was you could only wear white kids, not like all the different colored ones. For like, that was just in 7th grade though. Huh. And some girl wore like matching ones with all her outfits and stuff. And that was not cool. She got made fun of. Yeah. Stupid kids. Kids are assholes. But anyways, it's great. I think at this point that Margaret has a friend going into school.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't talk about her being anxious about it or anything, so...
No.
I think she would have been okay either way.
She would have been okay, but it's nice.
But yeah, knowing somebody is always nice. Yeah, when I went to new schools, a lot of times I would go to church first and meet some people that way.
Yeah.
Except for the ones where it was just sudden moves.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty anxious.
Yeah. I don't think I ever knew anybody before going to a new school. So maybe that's why I'm really relieved for her. So Margaret does what she just calls it talking to God, even though it sounds like praying to me.
Right.
But she doesn't know, because her parents don't know that she does this, even though she does it quite a bit. Yeah, her parents don't practice any religion at all, and so Margaret doesn't know. She says that they would probably think she's a religious fanatic if they knew. But her mom says God is a nice idea and he belongs to everybody. So I think that's lovely. But my question is, what started her talking to God or praying? I wonder where, it never explains where she got the idea to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would assume that there was probably a prayer to start school. There was probably prayers on television. If it actually doesn't say that she had a television, so
no, there's no TV discussion at all.
Yeah, but
just from somewhere in
most
societies
in the U.S., you'll find prayer at some point everywhere. But I would say it was probably something along that lines where they started school with a prayer or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just surprised it doesn't say like where she got the idea to do this, but it just kind of goes into it, and I guess that kind of makes sense because we just kind of go into her life. So
right.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, her parents are kind of excited to like have a lawn and stuff. So Margaret's dad has an accident on his very first day with a lawnmower. Margaret doesn't know exactly what may have got cut off, a finger or hand, perverts, not anything else. But she goes outside to find it right away because she heard they can attach it back on sometimes. But she doesn't find anything. He just needed stitches.
I had a friend who had a couple of toes cut off.
No.
Yeah, he was doing a goalie or something, and it skipped, and he tripped, and his foot went underneath the mower. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. So they hire a teenage boy, Moose, to cut their yard instead.
Yeah, I think, I have some questions about Moose, but, it's like later on when it really comes out. Does this guy just like drip machismo or something?
I know. Yeah, because she develops a thing.
Margaret is automatically like, Moose is my number one. Uh-huh. But that, that's a whole other thing later on anyway.
Well, I think it might just because he's a slightly older boy that is in her yard every week.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
and actually said handy. Words to her.
Yeah, and he talks to her. So, I mean, when you're 11, 12, it's really kind of all you need.
Right, yeah.
I mean... So, on Labor Day, Sylvia shows up to their house. They thought she'd never come because she thinks trains are dirty. And, she had to get all the way from New York to there. But she decided she was washable just because she needed to see her Margaret. She gets a tour of the house, and it's a nice little visit, even though her parents are shocked. And Sylvia says they can talk on the phone every night as long as it's a secret from her parents. That's sketchy as fuck, Sylvia. Come on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, and again, long distance charges.
Yeah. So the first day of school arrives, and Margaret doesn't wear socks. And she regrets it by the time she arrives at school because she has to walk like 3/4 of a mile, I think they said. Yeah. I bet they were new shoes, and I bet it hurts. One of the things about being an adult is not worrying about stupid shit like that anymore. Man, it's awesome. And alcohol's good too. So they get a first-year teacher, Mr. Benedict. He's 24. He's a fucking baby. Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever had a teacher that young.
Taking care of teens or preteens? Oh, man, that's got to be rough.
I know. Yeah, so as an adult, I have a lot of... sympathy for Mr. Benedict because he seems nervous a lot of the time, and it's like, aw.
He gives them like an assignment.
Oh, yes.
He gives them a few phrases, and they're supposed to like fill out sentences with this, like I like to blank, I don't like blank.
And I think first year teachers.
I think male teachers are.
Male teachers are, yeah.
So on the one about religion, she says something, the one about I don't like, and then she said religion or something like that.
Yeah.
And
religious holidays.
Religious holidays. Mm-hmm. And he actually, like, later asked her about it.
Yeah.
Specifically. And that brought up something from 5th grade.
Oh, okay.
That we had this assignment where we were supposed to write down what our priorities in life were in order from 1 to whatever.
That's a big question for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. So she gives an example on the board. Uh-huh. Number 1 priority, God.
Obviously.
Number 2 priority, family.
Sure.
Number 3 priority, work, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, of course, at this time, I was a little church-going kid. So
right, so you were down.
It was pretty much the same list,
Yeah.
But it makes me think that was just a trap for anybody who's not religious.
Right.
To call them out and figure out who it is that doesn't have those same priorities.
Yeah, that's some Big Brother type shit.
Yeah.
I do not like that.
I did not like thinking about that as I got older.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure it was perfectly fine because everybody was probably.
Yeah.
I mean, most likely.
Well, they'd find out if it wasn't.
And then what? Give them counseling?
And then be able to, what is it called? Minister to them to try to convert them.
Fucking Christ. Yeah, probably so. Hey, let me tell you about my church. We have like this really cool Sunday school program at a youth group, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. You should come on Wednesdays. They have pizza.
Yep.
That's the gateway.
That is the gateway.
Actually, when my kids were growing up, there was an incident around Christmas time in which they sent home a newsletter talking about, this was after the law was passed where you're not supposed to talk about, religion specifically in non-religious classes in school. Mm-hmm. And this was sent in a newsletter in which a teacher wrote that She didn't care if it was against the law. Jesus is the reason for the season, and she didn't care who knew about it.
And this went out in a full school program?
Yeah, this was
letter or whatever.
Yeah, so this was elementary school, Westwood Elementary, and I read this, and at this time, I was already, in my current beliefs, and I told the kids, "This is against the law. I'm going to go up and I'm going to say something about it."
Yeah, good for you.
My kids were horrified. They were like, "Dad, no, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that, Dad. No, it's just, we're new there. It's going to make us stand out. And we're going to have issues with the teachers if you do that." And I'm like, "You guys, I have to stand up for the kids who don't have a voice." And they were like, "No, Dad, please don't."
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, I totally see that side.
And then, so I kind of took it as, okay, well, you guys are learning to fit in, even when you don't necessarily believe everything that people around you believe. And, at the time, Aaron was just, I don't believe in religion. God's a whole different question, but religion itself, I don't believe in religion.
Nice.
And Megan was on the fence still, because she was getting different stuff from different angles. All the grandparents, pretty much everybody but me. I'd have honest conversations with her, but she was still making up her mind about stuff like that, and probably still is today. I don't know, but yeah, that was another school religious incident.
I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's East Texas. But
yeah, I mean, this is the city where it was a Supreme Court decision that religion could not be, that you were not supposed to pray in school or at school events. And
the administration isn't allowed to lead it.
Right. And that same month, the governor of Texas comes to the high school there to lead a school-sponsored prayer meeting.
Because, of course.
Yeah.
Which governor was it?
Rick Perry. Yeah.
I mean, so that figures. Should we, lay out where we are on religion right now? I mean,
we're discussing.
Yeah.
Are you there, so, God? It's me, Margaret.
Right. So, anyways, okay. So I'm agnostic. I consider myself agnostic, because I'm mainly atheist. But I think it's arrogant to say, I definitely know there's no God. So if there's something spiritual, I'll say sure, it might be, because I can't say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Well, atheism has two meanings, really. One is I don't believe in God, and one is I don't believe in religion. So, because theism is the belief in God, which is pretty much the definition of religion.
Right.
But I would also have to say I'm agnostic, because you can't prove a negative.
Exactly.
And therefore, taking a scientific basis of it, I can't say that there wasn't. I don't believe that there is an intelligent creator who is in the day-to-day lives of people. But I cannot prove that there was not some intelligent creator who started the Big Bang going. There's, because it's an unknowable, and it's not something that we'll be able to know, especially in our lifetimes, but probably ever, to be proven that there's something outside of our universe itself. So I would have to say I'm agnostic as well.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to talk about your journey, how we got there?
Mine was, the main focus was I was meeting people of a lot of different religions, and a lot of different, even within my own religion, a lot of different, Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian.
So all sorts of Protestants.
Yes. And then I was also meeting Jewish people. I had not met at this time a Muslim. But I was trying to figure out how I could put my beliefs out there so that people would understand that my beliefs were the correct beliefs and theirs were not. And so I went on this journey of comparative religion in which I started reading all of these books about other religion. Of course, I'd had some Greek mythology and Roman mythology as I was growing up in school. Well, that was actually religion, that was something that people believed as fact.
Right.
And
so how old were you when this was happening?
I was probably started on this journey around 21 or 22.
Okay.
It was a period of time where I would not read anything that was not Christian religious.
Oh my God.
I was a member,
a totally different person.
I was a member of a Christian book club and only read, even fiction that was based on angels and, things like that.
Yeah.
So, because I was always taught you don't question your faith. That was a sin. That was an absolute sin to question. Well, my whole journey started, I was not questioning my faith. I was questioning other people's faith and how could I get them to believe it. Well, as I read and studied all these different beliefs, I kept finding these religions who had similar ideals, even similar origin stories of virgin births and things like this, but were, centuries or millennia before the religion that I was practicing at the time. That's what started making me question more than anything. And then, as I started kind of getting over that, okay, well, I really am questioning now. And then I started reading more scientific stuff, about the Cambrian explosion and how so many different species came about in such a short period of time. I mean, it was just... So there was such an explosion of evolution of different organisms combining and changing according to their environment, things that they were eating, and that it blew my mind. It totally made me believe in evolution. And then I started reading like.
Had you been taught anything about the theory of when you were in school in East Texas? Or West Texas?
There was a period of time in which they would kind of gloss over what evolution was supposed to be about. And because it had been so ingrained in our minds at the time that evolution was not real, it was kind of just one of those things you allowed them to say, and then you closed your mind off and then went on. It wasn't going to be on a test or anything because it was, East Texas. And then, even when I was growing up, there was a big push for people to teach the theory of creation equally with the theory of evolution. So then I started reading the chimpanzees.
Jane Goodall.
Started reading Jane Goodall, and because of the way she categorized, it was so easy to follow along with individual primates and see just how human-like they were. Mm-hmm. And it was so easy to understand at that point how humanity changed from a, very limited thinking species to moving into having higher thoughts, being able to use tools, then getting our frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex, and having higher thoughts, and then I started reading about brain evolution and how the different parts of the brain over time have created, going from just a raw emotional fight or flight or, going from one meal to the next to being able to have more complex thoughts. And that was all of that stuff together eventually brought me to where I was set. Okay, no, that's that stuff that I learned before was, is the same to me as Greek mythology.
I think it's really interesting that you were able to do all that without leaving the Bible Belt. I mean, that's really impressive because, I mean, it's so pervasive here that, I mean, it's just a way of life. And,
right.
I mean, not as much now that we're in, like, outside of Dallas, but
really,
If
I had not joined the military and moved to, off on my own and been away from the influences of me, of the people I grew up with, my family, etc., I probably never would have even started questioning as much.
Yeah. But you're still in San Antonio, which is not exactly a godless.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and we went to a church there it had like 10,000 members. It was... He had a news he had his own television station that had 1 million viewers.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
cool. But nothing shady was going on there. So my thing it's not as academic as all that, but it was earlier. So I'm not certain I ever actually believed in God. But it wasn't something, I mean, I grew up in East Texas too until I was 8. So it was just, there. That's what you did. You went to Sunday school, you went to church, you prayed, and that's just what you did. There was no other option. 4th grade, I got sent to Catholic school, which I was not. I was raised Methodist, but my dad had been Catholic. But speaking of male teachers, my 3rd grade male teacher, my parents were pretty sure he was sexist because he would not let girls have as much computer time as the boys.
Wow.
And so, big problem, especially since my dad's a computer programmer and I'd been using computers,
right.
probably far longer than most people in the early 90s, most kids. But even though I wasn't going to have him the next year, they still wanted to move me. I don't really get that. I didn't get that. I was pretty upset about that. But my dad had been Catholic. Unfortunately, this led him back to the church because it's cheaper if you're a member of the parish.
Yeah.
So my education brought my dad back to Catholicism. So that's a thing. But anyways, that was a mind fuck because Catholicism is like a whole nother world.
Yeah, that's okay. So when I started dating someone who was a Methodist and started going to their church, I was like, well, there's no difference between this and going to a Baptist church.
Yeah.
Other than my Baptist minister saying that all Methodists were going to hell, and then eventually getting that same Methodist church saying that all Baptists were going to hell. Other than that, there was really no change. So I heard that Baptists did not believe in dancing. That was the only difference that I knew of between the two.
Interesting. Okay, well, here's the thing, though. I went to Catholic school for 2 years, 4th and 5th grade. The summer in between, I came back down to Texas, and my grandparents introduced me to a family they'd met through theater. And he happened to be a Baptist preacher and had like 7 kids. And their oldest daughter was like 2 years older than me, and we became great friends. It was really awesome. But I went to Baptist church camp with them, and that was like, whoa. Because the differences I saw, there was all the saving of your soul and, going up in, what do you call it, proclaiming, there's a better word for it.
Being saved.
I mean, being saved, but like, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that was a whole big thing. And so I faked being saved so I could fit in because I was 10 and incredibly shy and incredibly like pressured, because they did see me probably as a godless little Methodist. I mean, I don't think they ever said anything mean to me, but, there was pressure to be saved and like commit yourself to Christ and stuff.
Rededicate your life to Christ.
Yes. So we didn't have that in the Methodist church, at least that I went to. And it was a very big thing for Baptists. And I'm sure there were other stuff, like much stricter about things like, I mean, they were fine with dancing. They were theater people. And they sang in church because they were theater people. The kids always got up and sang and stuff. But anyway, so I had all these completely different views. When I was 10, And, all of them were saying, they were the right one. And this is what it is. And all other denominations are incorrect. But I was like, no, that can't be right. And so it got me thinking about it. And so I was just like, I guess I had some soul searching. And I was like, do I really believe in any of this? I don't think so. And so I kind of stuck with that.
The thing I get most when I tell someone I'm agnostic is, well, what are you going to do if you're wrong? And my answer is, well, if every denomination believes that only their denomination is going to heaven, then that means that trillions and trillions and trillions of people that have lived, humans that have lived in this world, I'm just going to be with those guys if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Of all those different religions. Yeah.
But since I don't believe in someone who's punishing you for not following the minutia of one particular, strain of religion,
right?
Then what's the difference?
And okay, let's say there is a God, and they judge when we die. I think they would appreciate that we put a lot of thought into it. So I'll go with that. Yeah, I did look into Wicca when I was in high school because it sounded interesting, and I genuinely did find like all the nature stuff and everything really interesting.
Yeah, Wicca sounds very fun.
And like that it was a goddess, more so than God.
Right.
But even then, like I'd want to do like a ritual or something and be like, still in my mind, and be like, I don't believe there's something there.
Right.
So as fun as this is, as interesting as it is, I just don't have that belief in me.
Yeah, as we transition to being agnostic, I still wanted to have some type of ceremony, tradition things going on,
right.
And I never really could get that to fit in with the belief system. But
yeah, that is the one thing I liked about Catholicism for them, is that they have a lot. They're very so many traditionals and rites and stuff, but only if you're Catholic. We'll get into that in a bit, but because they are certainly very closed off. But
very ritualistic.
Yes, and when I was 17, we started, because my mom was still making me go to church. I hadn't told her I didn't believe in God or anything, but so she was still making me, and. But I did like this one church outside of Austin. But I really just like the community aspect of it, And then I found that later in community theater. So,
nice.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, definite for sure. It's not church for me.
Yeah, Aaron and I actually went to an atheist church meeting.
Yeah.
One time in Houston. And we ended up talking to each other for an hour and a half to 2 hours and barely saying a word to anybody else. So we're like,
that's
okay.
Hilarious. I mean, I did look before, in the in-between time before theater and all that. I did I was looking into different religions and stuff. And especially Unitarians. Because they seem dope. I mean, they even have, agnostics, but also atheists, which... Yeah. It's interesting, but I never had the balls to actually go to one or anything. So, but anyways. So yeah, that's my religious history. Anything more to add to yours?
Have you ever made a for serious bargain with God?
No, I don't think so.
So when I was 11, I was home alone with Mom, and her and Dad had been going through their divorce. And she starts screaming in pain. And we were very, very poor. We had no money.
Right.
And so I was like, do you want me to call an ambulance? And she said, no.
So fucking expensive.
So for the next 3 hours, I just listened to her moaning and screaming in pain, not knowing what's going on. And so I started praying, and I'm for serious, God, please, I know you can do this. Just take away her pain. And Completely serious. I I believe in you, God. You can see it in my heart. Just take away this pain. I'll dedicate my life to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So a few hours later, I finally just call 911.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And without my mom
Right.
telling me that it's okay. And, they come and get her on a stretcher, and she's screaming the whole time. And it's upstairs, and they taking the stretcher down.
Oh, geez. So fun.
Yeah. And she had a slip disc in her back and some, stuff like that.
Did you think that's what God led you to do? Did he put it on your heart to call 911?
No.
No?
No. I think at that point I thought I must be such a failure in God's eyes that he doesn't care. That he doesn't want to help me, even though I try to live
Oh, that's awful.
So I think it kind of made me double down on religion and start trying to be even better.
Wow.
And like every time the smallest little thing that goes wrong, I'm sorry, God, please forgive me.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where religion gets pretty scary with kids, I think. Yeah. But I think our outlook now, at least I know mine is, it's like that one meme. Religion's like a dick. It's fine if you have it, and that's great, but just don't take it out and wave it all around in my face. And don't try to convert me or try to put it into laws and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious where we stand on that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Do not regulate people based on your religion.
Yeah.
You do not have a right to force people to do things.
Exactly.
You have a right to do them yourself, and nobody is taking that away from you. Mm-mm. And saying that, making it law that everybody has to do this, and you're not doing that, and therefore it's a war on me, that is incorrect.
Right.
You do not have the right to force any belief on someone else. Mm-hmm. You have the right to believe that. You have the right to practice that. You have the right to tell me Merry Christmas. You have the right to say, have a blessed day.
Yeah.
You do not have a right to yell at me when I say Happy Winter Solstice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, we're not going to take that away from you. Because I will say, I am... For the non-aggressive religious people, I am happy for them that they have the comfort that they take. And I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous of that. Yeah. Because people do take great comfort in it. And so that's great. And I never want to take that away from anybody. But, I'm not here for it myself. And you just have to be okay with that. Okay, so back to Margaret.
A super long episode. Sorry, guys.
I thought it might be.
Just fast forward if you're into the book only.
I said it was going to be a very special episode. Apparently, Judy Blume books inspire the most conversation for us. So this is going to be our first 2-part episode. We'll be back with another episode later this week, where we actually discuss the book more than ourselves. So bye for now, everybody.